I would say anytime you have a championship team, right? And Limestone's had 5 of them. They're all going to be very, very good teams and all-time teams of the college. You know, they won a championship. I think it was a little unique during my time compared to what it is now, and the fact that there's just a lot more lacrosse programs out there to be had in the Division I, Division II level. So I always felt that back in our time, we always had a ton of talent and talented guys, and we were kind of stacked because people wanted to come to a good program and win a championship. And at that time, there wasn't as many options as there is now, with a lot new programs in different areas of the country, and especially at the Division I and even our level, Division II, where I feel like if maybe some of those existed, they might have recruited a bunch of my buddies and friends that we played with, and maybe we wouldn't have had as talented guys, as talented teams. So I really, you know, even believe some of the teams that maybe even lost in the championship game, I felt like those were some of the best teams Limestone's had, and you know, I think there could be some of the best teams Division II could see as a whole, just on the sheer fact that there were less teams back then. And you know, Limestone's been a perennial power. They were a perennial power when I played. They still are. So when coming out of high school, that was very attractive to me, of get off Long Island and go to a place that gives you a chance to win a championship. And so I still think that holds true today. But yeah, we were super talented guys that could have played at a lot of other schools. And I think that's ultimately why we were really successful back then. For every year that I was there as a player, our only goal was to win a national championship. So that did not change from, you know, Coach Serino leaving and Coach Malone coming in, to Coach Malone leaving and Coach Johnson coming in. None of that changed. We still had that mentality of, you know, we want to play to the very last day in May. And we were going to do whatever it took to get there. And I think that's why those teams are so special. And, you know, I've been doing this now and coaching on the other side of it. And even for the teams that I'm coaching, like, the thing that still sticks out in my head is just how close we all are and were and still remain. They're some of the best friends I've had in my life, and I'll continue to be my best friends. But these guys really loved one another and really cared about one another. And that's what made these teams so special and so good, because we genuinely cared about each other, and we genuinely picked each other up, and we would let a guy know if he wasn't holding up his end of the bargain. Like, it was a very competitive group, to the point when we were competitive off the field when we weren't playing lacrosse. I mean, from going to the local softball field and splitting up teams and playing that, and we were competitive knockdown drag-out. So those were always our expectations, and we weren't going to be satisfied unless we were playing in that championship game. There's 3 or 4 things that really stick out. The first thing was you couldn't score on Matt Malloy that day. He was unbelievable, making saves left and right. And obviously when your goaltender is making saves like that and you know, bailing you out of certain situations, that gives you that confidence boost. So that's first and foremost. So we were making saves with Matt, and then we felt like Nick DeLonga was not going to lose a face-off all game. He was dominating. So we had the ball. We felt great about that. I also remember, you know, Nick Carlson was, you know, a very high-profile player, and now doing what I do, I can understand what those coaches on the other team were thinking coming up against him. So I know they put a lot of game planning and attention on him. And I think one of the things that made him the special player that he is he realized that in the game and didn't try to do too much and just kind of let the attention come to him. And that's why we had, you know, big games out of Devan, Spilker, and some of the other guys out there. And I give Nick a ton of credit for not forcing the issue and letting the guy, you know, play into the situation and getting everybody else involved. And I mean, that probably was one of his lowest scoring games of the year, 1 goal, but damn, if he didn't do everything else to help us win that game. And then the only other thing I remember is we had a senior midfielder, Brad Bauer, who his back was really giving out on him before that game. And I remember a couple times he cleared the ball from end to end, our goal to their goal. And as he would come to the sideline, he could barely stand up and he would just collapse. But it just like, when he was through the lines, he couldn't feel that, man. And that was just kind of who that team was. And like, we were going to get it done no matter what, and that was kind of the feeling that day. And still to this day, probably one of the greatest memories I have in my life, But really, really special group, really special day. To this day, we all talk. We're all communicating. So it's really a special group. And, to see it 20 years later and to see that how connected everyone is, it just proves, I didn't need to tell you about it. You could just see it and right with all that kind of stuff, So really, really exciting time. I can't believe it's been 20 years already. I'm sure some of us feel like we'd go back out there and do it again, but we couldn't. I know we couldn't. But really, just really awesome stuff. And really thank you guys for kind of putting this together and recognizing the 20 years and kind of getting us all back in this, joyful memories and all that kind of stuff. So we thank you for all that.
We were a different team than the 2000 team, and a lot of it came down to we didn't have as much talent on paper as the 2000 team. I tell you what, we were a team from top to bottom as far as working hard, work ethic. We still had a very solid attack. We lost some strong midfielders from that year. Campbell, John Raleigh, my brother. A bunch of guys, but we had people step up like DeLong Good, Kyle Zentz, and Chris Barrett, to name another one. A couple guys that just, it was their turn, and they had to step up and fill some shoes. We were just more of a, I feel, and I say it pretty often to people, the teams that won it compared to the teams that lost it, especially, we were more of a team top to bottom. And both those years we had a tough loss towards the end of the year that in regular season that made us stronger, better, not so cocky, and got us prepared for the end of the year. But I think the biggest difference was we basically were more of a blue collar, had to work hard to earn a little bit more than having so much ridiculous depth that we had in 2000. Which we, should have definitely won in 01, but we weren't too much of a team that year either. It was all about whatever we could do to win, and it helps having somebody like Carlson who's going to pull one of the best defensemen 90% of the time. I think I might have had it a little bit, but when you're getting that second guy, you got to represent and step up. I just do whatever I had to do to win and be there for my team. Obviously, you lose a championship, especially one that we think we should have won. This goes back to about being on paper, right? The 01 team, hands down, was our best team that I ever been on paper, I would say, right? And it motivated all of us. We lost a lot of leadership and lost a lot of talent. All the Division II and most of the South are kind of pushing us off a little bit because we lost so much. And, it just motivated us to work hard and stay at it, and if it was the next man up. We had a ton of guys that said step up that year, that it was their turn, and they took it full advantage of it. And it was hard, really hard going out my senior year on a loss, just like we lost in 01. But those guys bounced back again that following year, and we obviously went on another run. But you take things, you learn from experience, and that's what happened. We got our hands handed to us, our butts handed to us that game in 01. we got outplayed, outcoached, everything she asked me. And we came out, played as a team. We fought hard, and we came out victorious, and still remember every play of that game.